So just some reminders before we get into the video. First reminder is to make sure that you're keeping an eye out and an ear out for the key word for this lesson. Reminder number 2 is to make sure you're taking notes. Include the date, lesson number, aim, and standards to help you refer back in your notes. Let's get to it. Okay, so welcome back. We are continuing with Unit 2. We are on Lesson 4. Our aim for today is how do we solve for unit rate? Our warm-up today is going to be where have you seen unit rates in real life? So think about all the different places you've gone with your parents, with your siblings. Where have you seen unit rates in the real world? Well, if you've gone to any supermarkets, they have the unit price listed for certain items. Target has unit price and unit rates, as well as Amazon. They have unit rates listed to show you basically that you're getting the best deal. So we talked about rates, ratios, proportions, but a specific rate, or this, what we're talking about is a unit rate. It's a ratio that has a denominator of 1. So for instance, if you're talking miles per hour, I think that's one of the most common, or cost per item. That's what you're going to see in the store or Target or online when you find the item, the cost per that one item. When you're solving for unit rate, you can find the unit rate through division. Where you're dividing your y by your x. Your dependent variable is always going to be dependent on your independent. Independent's usually time, how many items. So hours would be independent, items would be independent, and then dependent on that is cost. So your y would be cost or miles. And then the second way to solve for unit rate is your using a proportion. So setting up a proportion and then solving for it. So let's try our first problem. So Peter swam 2.5 miles in a 3/5 of an hour. So that's time, that's important. How many miles could Peter swim in 1 hour? So here's where that's going to kick in and be like, I want to find my unit rate. So I'm going to set it up where my miles is over my hours, because remember, time is independent and the number of miles depends on how many hours you're swimming, or specifically Peter swimming. So here we have 5/4 because that's what we get when we convert 2.5 to an improper fraction over 3/5 of an hour. We want to know how many miles in 1 hour. So miles would be x, that's a missing part, and 1 is the number of hours. So here's where we're going to cross multiply. We're going to get 5 times 1 and 3/5 times x. So we have 3/5 x equals 5/4 times 1, which is just really 5/4. In order to isolate and get x alone, you have to take the inverse operation of 3/5 times x. So if there's an invisible multiplication, you have to divide. Another way you can do this is multiply by the reciprocal. So if I multiply this whole thing by the reciprocal, I get 5/3. This cancels out, you're going to get 1. So all you're left with on the left is going to be x. If you multiply 5/3 on the right side, you're going to get 25/6. Sorry, 25/12. So as I simplify, I'm going to get 2 1/6 miles as my answer. Because 12 goes into 25 2 times to get 24. The difference between 24 and 25 is 1, and you keep your denominator, which is actually not 6, but actually 12. So it's 2 1/12 miles Peter can swim in 1 hour. All right, let's try number 2. So number 2 is a two-parter, so let's try the first section. Which store would you choose to buy a can of Coke from? So here we want to figure out what that unit rate is, so then we can make that comparison. So we have 2 stores. We have CVS, and then we have Walgreens. You want to see who has the better deal, or the best buy, we call it, to see whether we want to purchase that one or the other. So here we have the amount and cost. Same thing, amount and cost, cans. So we have the amount, which is $6.52 in 4 cans for CVS. Then for Walgreens, we have $20.88 for 12 cans. So if you divide 6.52 or $6.52 divided by 4, you're going to get $1.63 per can, because that's my unit rate. Then for Walgreens, I'm going to get $1.74 per can. That's how much it's going to cost per can. So ideally, the best buy or the ideal price would be the $1.63 because it's less. The best or the unit rate would be the lower price. So number 2A, a bottle deposit of 5 cents is added to each can at CVS. Would the bottle deposit impact your decision? So if you think about it, your unit rate is still costing the same no matter what, because the bottle deposit is the same amount being increased by each can, whether you're at CVS or Walgreens. So it would be no. The unit rate would still be cheaper. And if you really want to be, you really want to solidify it, you can say it's cheaper than Walgreens by 11 cents. Because your difference between that would be 11 cents. All right. So for number 3, try this one on your own. It's justifying your reasoning. Pause the video and come back and check your answer. So number 3 says, justify your reasoning. Miss Miller found different options to purchase totes and shirts needed for a school trip. If Miss Miller needs 60 totes and 60 shirts, which option should she choose? So we want 60 totes and 60 shirts. So let's see what that total is going to be. So here, if you have 5 totes for $15.75 and must buy in quantities of 5, it works out. You want to buy your total for your 60 shirts. You want to buy 12 sets, so be 12 times your $15.75, and that's going to give you $189. Okay, so here for the option 2 for totes, you have 10 totes for $25, but again, you have to do 20 totes per order, so it's 3 sets, really 6 sets, so it's 6 times your $25. So it's going to be $150. For option 3, you have $2 each, but you have to buy 70 totes. So you have to buy the total 70, but it's $140. So even though you're buying more than you need, that's how much you have to buy. All right, so here we have shirts. All right, so the number of shirts we need is 60. So if we have 10 for $48.50 and you have to buy in quantities of 10, you want to make sure that you are buying 60 shirts. So you have 6 times your $48.50, which is going to be $291. For the 5 shirts for $24.50, you need to buy it in 5s. So you need to buy at least 12 sets. Multiply that by $24.50, you're going to get $294. And then 75 for 300, obviously you don't want any more, so it would be $300. And now you have to pick which sets would work the best. So you have option 3 is the cheapest for totes, and option 1 is the cheapest for your shirts. All right. So if you're in class, please continue to complete your independent work. And if you're at home, make sure you're checking Google Classroom for your assignment. And I will see you in the next video. Bye.